The rain needled against my windshield like silver pins as I drove into the unfamiliar town, the sky dark as spilled ink. This remote little town in one of the northern states would be my fresh start, my escape from the past. The 3-story brick apartment building stood silent in the downpour, its maroon exterior darkened by rain to the color of clotted blood. The landlord had said it was the cheapest place in town, but failed to mention why rooms 301 through 306 were occupied, while 307 had stood empty for nearly 30 years. On my first night, I woke abruptly at 3:07 a.m. 3 measured knocks echoed through the silence, crisp as someone rapping the door with their knuckles. Through the peephole, the hallway stood empty, illuminated only by the sickly green glow of emergency lighting. But when I returned to bed, the sound came again, 5 knocks this time, harder and more urgent. By the 3rd morning, I received my first warning at the convenience store. The elderly cashier fumbled her scanner when she heard room 307. That apartment, she whispered as she bent to retrieve it. Nobody stayed more than a month since that nurse disappeared. What nurse? I froze mid-handoff with my payment. Her hands trembled as she made change. Night shift nurse at the mental hospital outside town. 20-some years ago. Some say she discovered something she shouldn't have. Her voice died when the store owner emerged from the stockroom. I found the number 7 inches fogged onto the bathroom mirror, despite no steam in the room. That night, the wardrobe creaked open on its own, revealing a white nurse's uniform that didn't belong to me. The nametag reading M. Weber. The library archivist snatched away my microfilm reader when he saw me browsing 1991 newspapers. That hospital, his eyes darted nervously. Some patients checked in and never checked out. From yellowed newspaper fragments, I pieced together the story. June 1991. A nurse from the asylum took sudden leave. July. The hospital closed citing funding issues. August. A small missing persons notice ran with a photo of a woman with calm eyes. On day 7, I found the abandoned asylum. Beyond the rusted gate, the main building loomed like a skeleton in the rain. The basement door resisted my efforts, but the ventilation grate gave way. My flashlight revealed black stains on the walls and leather restraints on the examination tables. The air still carried a chemical bite that tightened my throat. In the records room, a folder labeled Special Projects contained horrifying experiment logs. The final entry read, Subject 7 exhibiting severe rejection. Nurse W intervened. Requires immediate resolution. Dated June 15, 1991, the day the nurse's journal entry stopped. A metallic crash from upstairs froze my blood. On the 3rd floor operating theatre, I found my apartment key on the surgical table. Then every door and window slammed shut. Surgical instruments tore from the walls and embedded themselves opposite. Spelling help. The elevator kept opening on the 3rd floor during my escape. Footsteps that weren't mine echoed in the stairwell. Back at 307, a new photograph waited white-coated figures surrounding a blurred figure on a gurney. The back read, They made me the 7th. When scratching replaced knocking at 3:07 that night, I spoke to the door. Martha, I found the records. The knob turned itself. Freezing air coalesced into a nurse's form, her uniform front stained dark. I raised the documents. I'll make sure everyone knows. The mist dissipated, leaving a vintage tape recorder on my nightstand. The play button depressed itself. A garbled conversation emerged. To painful, pentobarbital overdose. Bury the. Then one long, dying wail. The sheriff turned pale when I showed my evidence. That investigation got buried. He finally agreed to reopen the case. The building superintendent stopped me in the lobby. You saw her. She waited 30 years. The final night passed in unnatural quiet. At 3:07, no knocks came, just my nightstand drawer sliding open to reveal a rusted key labeled Basement 7. At dawn, police found the false wall in the asylum basement. Behind it, A nurse's uniform clung to skeletal remains, fingers clutching experiment logs. The coroner confirmed death by pentobarbital overdose 30 years prior. On moving day, I found a final photo in my mailbox, a young nurse smiling in sunlight. The back read, "Thank you for remembering my hour. My investigation later exposed the crimes, but sometimes I still wake at 3:07 a.m. and stare at the bedroom door, imagining I hear 3 gentle knocks." That summer, the temperature soared to 98 degrees, and the air smelled like sun-scorched asphalt. A few of us were holed up in Jack's garage, chewing on cold pizza from the convenience store and sipping warm soda, bored out of our minds. "Hey," Jack said suddenly, "you guys ever heard about that abandoned hospital?" We all turned toward him. "You know, the one out by the edge of town. They say it's been shut down for years, haunted or something." I rolled my eyes. "Seriously? That again? If you don't believe me," he grinned, "let's make a bet. Whoever dares to spend the night in there gets free lunch for a month." My treat. Everyone laughed. I did too, but deep down, I felt uneasy. That night, we drove out in Jack's beat-up pickup with flashlights and sleeping bags. The hospital stood under the moonlight, crumbling and overgrown with vines. Most of the windows were shattered. The place looked like it had been holding its breath for years. We pushed open the heavy front doors, and a wave of mildew hit us in the face. It was pitch black inside, the beam of our flashlights cutting across dusty walls and peeling paint. "All right," Jack said, "let's split up. Whoever finds the creepiest thing wins." I went with Tom, another friend, up the creaking staircase that felt like it might give way any second. On the second floor, we found an empty patient room with nothing but a broken-down bed. "Not much to see here," Tom said. "Let's check somewhere else." We wandered into what used to be an operating room. The surgical table was coated in thick dust, and the ceiling lamp above it hung by a thread, swaying slightly. Then I heard it whisper, low, like it came from behind the wall. I looked at Tom. He was already frowning. "Did you hear that?" I asked. He nodded. "Let's go find the others." We headed back downstairs, but the lobby was empty. Jack and the rest of them were gone. We called out for them, but only our echoes came back. "They're probably messing with us," Tom said. "Let's look around." We searched the halls until we came to the entrance of the basement. The door was slightly ajar, and beyond it was only darkness. "They might be down there," I said. We descended the stairs. The basement was damp and stale, lined with rusted medical tools and forgotten equipment. Then my flashlight flickered. "And died? Damn it," I muttered. Tom's light stayed on. He pointed it ahead and stopped. "Look," he whispered, gesturing. I followed his gaze and saw a figure standing in the corner, back turned to us. "Jack," I called. The figure didn't respond. It just slowly turned around. Its face was pale, empty-eyed, hollow. We bolted, ran like hell up the stairs, burst out through the doors. The hot night air outside felt like safety compared to what we'd just left. We scrambled into the truck, Jack, and the others were already there. "Where the hell were you guys?" Jack asked. "We were looking for you," I said. "Didn't you go down to the basement?" They looked at each other. We never went inside. "We've been out here the whole time." Tom and I locked eyes. That cold, hollow feeling from the basement crawled right back up my spine. We never talked about that hospital again. No more stupid baits. Summer eventually ended, but that night never really left us.